Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Saturday. Another Saturday has arrived, and yeah, you've got my ugly face to deal with this Saturday. So bad luck for you. Nah, just kidding. Awesome to have you here. And if you've got it's Saturday. We're allowed to have a beer or a wine or a water, whatever floats your boat. Even a cup of tea, if you're that way inclined. Let's say hello to everybody here. We are going to start with. We'll start with Ken this week. I think I started with you the other time, Ken, didn't I? I'm going to start with you first. There we go. How's your week been?
That's been pretty well. It's been busy. I'm still just rewiring my studio setup, and I've got a lot of things to test, and I got a second Iridium in the studio. So yeah, it's been hectic.
That is awesome. That is awesome. All right, we are going to who we're going to go next. We'll go and say hi to Darren. How's it been? How's your week been, mate?
Hi everyone. Yeah, it's been good week. A couple of things. I've been working on the track for tomorrow, which is I think a few months back we were talking about Easter eggs. So for those who actually sit and watch or listen to me tracks, there's a massive Easter egg in the track for tomorrow. Whether you'll pick it up or even realize what it is, I don't know, but it is in there. And the second thing is, I've got a new bit of gear.
Well, so, do you wanna hold off on that, and we can let everyone hang a little bit? Awesome.
I will, because I'll be also there'll be hints, and there'll be hints to what it is if you keep on watching the show, because it'll be in the studio probably. But you'll just have to keep watching to see whether there's any hint.
Beautiful. All right. Well, let's jump over to not Ken. We've had him. What happened to Andy? Oh, he's over here. That's right. Andy, nice to have you back, mate. How's your week been?
Thank you. It's surprisingly uneventful. I've done very little, actually, and I've not done anything at all with music, and I haven't got any new gear. As I mentioned sort of in the pre-show to you, I've been very, very good and resisted clicking the buy button twice. I came so close, the temptation, and I just said, no, don't, because every time I buy something that's £100, £200, that's going to put back the point where I can actually buy the MPC, and I've got to be grown up about it. I've got to be grown up. I've got to be sensible.
Yeah.
So at some point, fairly soon, within the next couple of days, an MPC will arrive, if there are any available in a couple of months' time. Hopefully there will be.
Which MPC?
The MPC 1 is the one I'm going to go for, Ken.
Okay.
Yeah, I just had two of my friends bought one.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that's a bad move at all, because
it seems to make sense on so many levels for me.
Yeah, I think it's good, and we'll definitely hold your hand through the new start of it. Anyway, while we're introducing everyone, why don't we say hello to all the chatties who have just arrived, and some have been here waiting patiently. And we're going to go way back, starting with Finn. I think Finn was not technically first in chat, but he was first of the non-video people. Azio Head, who else? Sonic Neutronic, awesome to have you, buddy. JX3D, awesome to have you, mate. Wagyu, Nika Blockya. Who else we got? We saw Inky before. Marcus is there. Wow, so many people. Mr. Max there, nice to have you back, mate. Haven't seen you for a little while. Inverted Popes is there, awesome to have you. Chob, it's really nice to have you here. What else? I think Mega Mark's there. JPP Aghetto, or J Page 2. JP Page 2, maybe. I think it might be JP Page 2. I don't know. Let us know how that one is pronounced. That'd be interesting. Nice to have you. I think you're. Just let us know if it's the first time you're here. I'm pretty sure it is. Mind you, I do have a lot of brain fades in this show, so you'll work that out pretty quick. Who else? Who else has rocked up late? I think that's probably about it, isn't it?
Is George Kempson a new name? Have we seen George before?
My mouse just scrolled.
Yeah, he's been on.
Burkoot's here. I think I missed out on Burkoot. Hi, George. Sorry if I missed you. If I did miss you, please just throw your synth at the screen in disgust. because I mean we just can't have that.
Your worst built synth.
I know who George is. George is awesome, by the way. I think Darren is one of your mates, isn't he?
Well, they all are, aren't they?
He's not owning up. Okay, fair enough.
Very diplomatic. Very diplomatic, Darren.
No, he's subscribed to me, and we've chatted a bit, yeah. So, and I know whereabouts he is. So,
okay, so it is JP page 2, and he said he's a long time lurker or a few time lurker. So that's good. Nice to have you in the chat. Well done for breaking the ice, as we say. All right, let's hit us with the standard. What is it? We'll start with FunnySide. Stranger things may happen if you do actually watch this show. You never know. We might actually infiltrate your brain matter, and everything will just be weird from here on. Hopefully, it's because you saw this meme during the week. I think you have to be living under a rock if you didn't see this meme this week. This has been socialed to the gahoots. This one, I think it's quite good, isn't it? I mean, look, this guy is planning ahead. Let me just tell you right now, he's planning ahead. He knows that you must always have a bigger flower arrangement than the synth that you try to bring through the door if it's one that you can't sneak into the studio. So yes, that one will.
Hey,
definitely...
you might be laughing at that. You might be laughing at that, but that's how I got the Raven home.
Yeah, with a flower arrangement like that.
Yeah, more or less.
We're gonna have to sort of pursue that story a bit more with you, Darren. I think that one definitely has to. We'll put a pin in it for now, but I think we definitely need to ask more questions about that.
Yeah, the only difference is the cardboard was soaking wet on mine.
The cardboard, okay.
Yeah.
This is a bit of a PG
I've always
show.
used is I've had this forever.
Yeah, that's the same as me, Ken. And I think she's awake up to it now. All right, let's move on.
Oh yeah.
Oh, this one was beautiful, wasn't it? Hey, 2019, 2020. Career choices, hey guys. If you haven't thrown your synth at the screen, you may want to throw your DJ console at the screen by now. Okay, let's keep going. Okay. Disappear. Oh yes, this was good. Okay, so you guys might like the Volca mock-ups. This one is brilliant. This is the Volca OX. Don't have a camera.
Really should exist.
Look at this. Eh? Is this the
That
Volca
really should
owner's dream?
exist. Yeah. That is ace. I want that now.
Serious work
I'd have that
requires
as well.
serious tools. Eh? Bit of marketing speak in there.
Korg, if you're looking, please make that.
Would you buy that, Ken?
And put loads of CVs on it.
Would I?
They're on the
buy
right hand side there, Darren. Look.
Probably not. My thing with that is like, if I'm gonna get something like that, I might as well just get an OP1.
Fair enough. Or you might as well get an Octatrack.
And man, I'm such a jerk because like I look at like people's mock-ups and I start picking apart like the UI and like how things are placed and that sort of thing, and I start going insane.
Yeah. The OLED does look quite nice though. Anyway, we'll move on from that one. Last but I think this one's from you, Andy. They're starting to slowly creep in.
Right. Yeah.
Have we done this one before? I can't remember. I'm starting to lose
I
track.
feel like that's goal accomplished,
Yeah.
right? That's the whole reason why I bought my modular.
Do you know what though? I reckon a great like TV show, game show idea would be, let's set up a module with all the patches, and then you're going to get some nice lady, and she's going to pull all the patch leads out, and she's going to say, right, you've got 5 minutes to put it back together again. If you're looking at that one, you're going to do it all from memory. And it has to sound exactly the same.
Yeah, but at least you got a sound out of it.
That is true. That is true. That is true.
Well, the first time I went to Synthfest here in Sheffield, it was 2016. I think it was the first one, and walked around all of these stands with all these modulars and all these setups. And my overriding impression all the time was just that. all they're doing is making space farts. And I thought, do these things actually make any musical noises that you can feasibly use? Oddly enough, my first visit to Synthfest put me off modular completely. I was like, oh, if that's all it can do, I'm not interested. And then when I saw that sort of little meme thing, I just thought, well, that stirs memories. I do know that you can do sensible things with modular, though. I am aware of that. So I'm not dissing the modular users, all three of you.
Well, there you go.
Oh, I think it's fair.
The good thing about space farts, though, is if you put them through one of those like Strymon Big Sky reverbs with the 50-second tail on it, it's going to sound amazing. I mean, you have got.
Then it is a big wet space fart.
That's what you've got.
Then it really is a wet space fart.
Time travel farts.
Time travel farts. Let's clean up the show.
Infinity and beyond.
Let's do the news. Come on. Come on, guys. What city that is? Actually, that's a very good question. Someone in the chat might know. Reckon, oh, you just flew over my house. Right, okay. First off the ranks is, I thought this was pretty cool. This is, where are we? Let me get my notes. This was sent in as a request to mention these guys. JX3Ds in the chat room is one of the patrons. This is a company called Freakshow Industries, and this is a plugin called Tape Abomination. And it's quite funny, actually. Look, let's just play the video, and you'll get an idea of why I mean this is quite funny. So let's get over here and press some buttons and stuff. Go away, YouTube.
Today we explore this totem of profound disappointment, and will lay bare its deepest mysteries. Set your expectations to impossible heights. Allow your pathetic claws to gain purchase. Rip and tear the cool damn flesh. Peel away the membrane. Save it to make broth later. When the exoskeleton exposed, we finally get a clear look at its corporate market. Please ignore. Keep your condemnation upon this unborn god. Such pathetic security. Open, void, for these instructions. A moist cheek escapes the gap. Ignore illusory phantom screeching. The amateur coder instantly shreds your senses. Dig within to reveal some treasures. Resist the urge to pass out, continue inward. Witness the mysteries of the void beyond your unruly eyes. No one asked for this. We will fool you.
I'm going to leave you in suspense that you can watch the rest of that video later. I reckon most people would be thinking, what the, and then insert something after that you feel is appropriate. But yes, that was some very, very interesting marketing. So I'd say that's pretty original, wouldn't you say, guys? But if you're wondering, it's by a company called Freakshow Industries. It's the Tape Abomination. It is a plugin for your DAW, and I actually don't show that many plugins, so you know, about time I did. I love the interface on it. It looks awesome. What does it do?
Sold.
What does it do?
I don't care what it does. Sold.
Sold. It's only, well,
I'm with you, Ken.
This is the funniest thing about this, right? Is on the website, I should probably get it uploaded and you guys can have a look. On the website, which is freakshowindustries.com/Mishby, MISHBY, you can either buy it for $50 or you can press the steal button, STEAL, ? And I just thought, do press the steal button and see where that takes you. It's just a really, really cool website. So that's why that arrived. Thanks for the suggestion, Mr. JX3D. That was an awesome one for news. Right, couple of opinions.
I really love that UI. That UI is dope.
Yep.
The UI is awesome, isn't it? And I do want to
make
install
it.
that.
Marketing was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Hardware.
Yeah.
As good as
That's exactly what I was
as
thinking,
good
Darren.
as-
I'm like, dude, I want that. I want hardware like that, and I want the tentacles and everything. I want it to be squishy. All of that.
Best video. That'd have to go down as the
100%
best
into it.
marketing video this year, definitely. And I don't even know if it came out this year, that video, by the way.
I don't know. The Dreadbox one was pretty good, but that was
Dreadbot
a
that
close
definitely was
second.
good. Yes, absolutely.
The music was ace. It was like Puppy meets Coil meets Throbbing Gristle. It was just ace. I loved it. Absolutely. I was, with Ken. I don't care what it does. I just want that. That is amazing.
So JX3 in the chat room is saying the plugin is actually really awesome too. It's really hard to describe. He's saying, and there's another video. If you go to that website, there's another video that actually does demo the plugin as well. So that is something for you guys to do because we need to move on to the next one. We have got, where are we? This button here. Hopefully this gets us back to there. And the next item is we do have an update. Yes, we do, everybody. For the is it, would we say Norwegian or Danish music rights on YouTube? This one's
Video ikke tilgjengelig.
yeah, so there's actually a video you can actually watch where they're actually talking about Jeffrey East, the artist Jeffrey East, which is a well-known artist in that region, and you just cannot play any of his content at the moment on YouTube because negotiations between Coda and YouTube are continuing, and the Polaris Music Hub is basically corresponding between companies in Norway, Finland, Denmark, and there's been some progress, which is kind of good news, but there's still no firm agreement or offer that's been reached. So whilst all this is happening, have a spare a thought for those musicians in those countries where they literally being hang up to dry. So I guess what the big issue here is this could happen in your country, this could happen to you. There is solid support for Coda though, both in the community, not just in those communities, but I would say worldwide. I mean, for example, I'm supporting it. JX3D in the chat, he's a Danish fellow, he supports it as well. And politically also, and the musicians and businesses are affected, and they're actually happy that Coda hasn't taken the first offer that Google's or YouTube has given them, which I think is probably quite a smart thing, which was only a small payment idea at the start, but it's not really necessarily about the payment and the size of it. It's more about not being bullied by a large organization into telling you what you deserve to earn. And I think that's really, really good. This is where this actually pans out and how this ends is a good thing to follow. And even if you're not even affected by it personally, I think you should watch it and follow it just with intrigue. So, anyone want to make a quick comment about the Coda situation? Anyone know anything that I didn't mention? JX3D's in the chat. He could pipe up if he wants to.
Well, one thing I
It's
just
just bad
want to
news,
say
isn't it?
quickly about that is, I've got a few friends of mine that are entrepreneurs and guys who are just very, very up on making things happen for themselves and whatnot. And one of the main things they keep reiterating to me all the time is make sure you have your own platform. Make sure you have your own way of doing things. Facebook could go away like that. You would have no control of it. Instagram can go away. Twitter can go away. Whatever. All these things could go away. And if your entire fan base is based around these platforms that other people control, that can be a problem. So you should always have like your own website. You should always have your own method of getting in touch with your fans, that sort of thing. When I see issue, it reinforces not only that, but it also reinforces the issue of what we're seeing going on with Apple right now, and their App Store. I was recently informed that there's a platform called BeatStars where producers can create their music and their music online, and it's just for people to make all them online. Well, they have an app, and that's on Apple's App Store. Well, Apple is taking a 30% cut of these people's music when they sell their beats, right? Apple takes a 30% cut across the board of anything that's on the App Store. And we know that, the people with Fortnite are battling them right now. But, I'm an avid comic book reader, not just collector, but actual reader. So I use the Comixology app. Well, that's controlled by Amazon, and Amazon doesn't want to deal with Apple's pay platform, so you have to go outside of the app in order to comics to be able to read in the app on the iPad. So point being is that there's a point where these platforms become so large and become ubiquitous for all the creators, fans to go to. It's getting to a point where you have to ask whether or not it's a monopoly and not they have a strangle on the fans. But it's up to us as content creators to have our own platforms as well. So we keep feeding into these larger platforms that are really great, for a lot of things, a lot of reasons, and being able to reach a lot of people, but they have some serious drawbacks.
Yeah, it's definitely a good point. I will admit, Wagyu mentioned it's not in Norway. It is in Norway, so it does affect Norwegians. I don't know how much that actually affects them, but yeah, it does. It's Norway, Finland, Denmark. I don't think Sweden are part of it because I think they've got their own separate agreement with YouTube. So, but yeah, okay, we shall move on. There's a similar thing happening here in Australia. Actually, we've got the Australian government is trying to make Google, Facebook, and big media companies like Twitter and that pay for news media content because they thrive off of it, and they're not actually, the news companies are not earning anything. So there's a big issue going on with that at the moment too. So watch this space. I think it's not just about code either. It's about a lot of things. Okay, what else do we have? Okay. So I did say, gentlemen, that you probably should have already known about this news. They did talk about it on Sonic State on Wednesday. So this is actually quite interesting. I thought I was going to skip it, but I thought, no, I can't skip it because this is a product which is, it's a version 2. And I like to talk about version 2s because there's some interesting things that happen here. So let's just talk about what it is for a start. So Volca sample, if you've been living under a rock, this is the new Volca sample, and I guess you could call it Volca sample too, but Korg are just calling it the Volca sample. You will no longer be able to buy the old Volca sample. This is now going to replace, I guess there'll still be old stock lying around, but technically Korg are not making those ones anymore. This is the one that you'll get. Now, what's new? There's a new pattern chain mode with 2 different step jump modes. There's a start delay function, so you can go off the grid with a new delay feature that lets you slightly delay the start of any part to achieve kind of different sort of grooves and swings. It's got an increased memory of 200 memory slots, which is double what it used to have, and 50 are left empty so you can put your own original or pre-made libraries in there. Pattern locations have also been increased from 10 to 16, which is good, and there's a new sound library. Obviously, the most noticeable thing there is it's got a micro USB port. I don't know if you guys see it next to the MIDI in. And they've got a new Sound Librarian app and a new iOS app, which is TBA. Now, I do have some screenshots of a couple of these things. You can bring them in here. So this is the screenshot of... Why did that not work? Here we go. There's a screenshot of the Sound Librarian app. Not a very good screenshot, but it'll do. And actually, I thought I had a better one than that. Let me see if I've got it here. No, I don't. And there is on the video which we'll watch, there's a screenshot of the iOS app that you'll see. It's not a very good looking screenshot anyway. So before we talk about ifs, wheres, and buts with this, let's have a quick look at Korg's video. Hopefully we don't. It's not that long. 1 minute. guess kind of let's get this one sort of rock and rolling. The first one is micro USB would probably have to be the most hated USB format out there. If you're looking at all the different USB formats that they've ever invented, micro USB would have to be the big slap in the face one. There's probably a good reason why they use it. There's no licensing necessarily compared to USB-C. There's all sorts of probably commercial reasons why they use it. So that's the first thing I guess we need to flag. The second one is really you only could manage 200. I mean, seriously, there's like Raspberry Pis and Arduinos and things out there that can, the size are tiny compared to the size of a Volca. You seriously can't fit more samples, and you can't put an SD card inside. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's so many things that they could have done with this, and they just didn't. I really do scratch my head at some of these manufacturers' decisions. Sometimes it's kind of like you just wonder, don't you? But anyway, okay, I'm getting an error at the moment, guys. 1 second. I am getting an error. No,
It's just number 2. That's why you're getting an error.
hang on a sec. I'm getting an error. Let us know in the chat if you guys can hear us. I'm just getting an error coming up on the screen. It says it's back to normal again. Should be
It's
okay.
still streaming. It just
Okay.
buffers for a minute.
Okay, good. So I guess they're kind of like the two big main things. And obviously these two, it's not a sampler, it's a sample player. But you did notice when they were showing the iPhone app, it was showing that the app itself was a sampling app. So I guess if you merge the phone with the Volca sample, you've got the that side of it.
Who's doing that, man? Like, really, like, it feels like so much to go around a bend to do something on a basic device. Like, I don't know. I don't want to poo-poo whoever likes these things, but man, like, I'm just not a fan of samplers that don't sample. Like, a portable sample device like that, to me, I'm sorry. I need to be able to sample directly to it. Like, I'll take the Pocket Operator KO. I'll take that thing, no matter how basic it is, just because of the fact I can sample on it right then and there.
Yeah.
Like, it's it's
Perfect
immediately
example.
fun and usable. This sort of thing, like trying to pair an app and, like you said, the micro, like, no.
And also,
Not even a little.
look what-
you there, Ken.
I mean, look what
Sample rate
Yamaha
is-
had a while back.
What's
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
What Yamaha had back, where you could actually sample on it. I mean, it wasn't, it's not going to... But that, you could sample on it.
And the Roland SP series, and there's lots of things out there that can do. And I mean, I'm not going to gripe about the memory thing, or the SD card thing, because I don't know what the cost and price point thing, what they're doing. However, yeah, I mean, I agree on all those points, and it's just, to me, I just like I actually like Volcas. Like, I think they're pretty cool, and I like small device to throw in my car and kind of forget it, and then like, oh, I'm stuck here at the mall while somebody's doing something. Man, I'll play around with this. I'm that nerd. But dude, no, a sampler that doesn't it just doesn't. It's that sort of thing has never been for me.
Yeah,
It could
I
be
have
so
a
much
feeling
better.
that they're doing it because the Electro sampler is their sampler, and they've got a few other products that do sampling as well. And I think they just don't want to have that crossover thing. But the way I see it is, there's people that would buy Volcas, and there's probably different people that may not buy Volcas that buy Electrobes. Do you know what I mean? Like, there might be that's me that buys both. But do you know what I mean? Like, to me, it's kind of, it doesn't really matter. Look, make a sampler, like Ken said. Make one. Make it sample. What's so hard about it? Just chuck a bloody guy. You did it on the, what is it? The synth that they made recently, the Wave State. You chucked a Raspberry Pi in that. Can't chuck a Raspberry Pi in a Volca. What's the big deal? That can
Yeah,
sample.
but the price point is vastly different.
We'd expect to pay
But
more.
still,
though.
I mean, I agree with you. I'm just
Yeah.
pointing out.
Yeah.
But what was Andrew saying?
Go on, Andy.
Can I chip in on this?
Yeah.
Right. As I own 4 Volcas, I don't own the Volca sample, and I didn't get it for the simple reason that you couldn't, on the original version, play back samples from a keyboard. You couldn't play them pitched. There were workarounds that were very complicated, and you could get this funny cable. But basically, if you'd sampled like a bell sound, you couldn't play that from a keyboard. You couldn't pitch it. It was just sample playback, and that to me was a frustrating limitation. I thought, well, okay, so this thing basically is a drum machine. That's what it is. It's better than the Beats, but it's a drum machine. Yeah. And I thought that they would redress that in this version 2. They would make it so that when you sample, you can actually play back a sample at different pitches from a keyboard, as I think a lot of people would expect. And apparently you can't. I was intrigued in that demo because there were things that were definitely being played like melodic phrases. Now, was that simply a melodic phrase sample that they put in? Very possibly. I don't know, but I'm sure when Sonic State mentioned it in the week, that they said that hadn't been addressed. Now, that was, to me, is the biggest downfall. Now, I know Ken said, it doesn't sample. If you think of it just as a sample playback, if you're creating your samples in something like Audacity and then porting them across through the USB, which seems like a really good upgrade to me. I think, in spite of micro USB being a pain in the bum, which we all know, I think that's a good compromise. Yes, I agree about the lack of memory. It could have been so much more, but I really wish that they'd address the pitching of samples so that you could play them back from a keyboard more effectively.
Andy, so what you actually mean is the chromatic, that side of it. Yeah. So there is actually an unofficial firmware for the Volca sample, not the Volca sample 2, the Volca sample, where you can actually play them. There's also a retro kits cable that you can get as well that does that. So there are ways around it, and like you said, they haven't, like Korg haven't.
It just made one that works. All they had
to do was send the guy. His name's Page, and they all just send him a few bucks and say, "Hey, can we use your firmware?" What would have been? Would have been so hard. He wouldn't have asked for billions.
He should have been included, really.
They wouldn't have asked him for billions either. Anyway, right. I think we'll move on. But yeah, I think just let us know in the chat while we're going to the next one what you guys think of the Volca Sample 2. Will you buy it? Would be the question I think that we really need to know. Next on the ranks is this one. So I did mention to you guys that I have shown this before. This is something that, Andy, you've actually seen this in real life, haven't you, mate?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I have. I've stood next to it. I've touched it and stroked it and lusted after it. I went a bit soggy. This
is the Analogue Solutions Colossus, and it's a great name, isn't it? Now, for those who don't know what this is, it is modelled after the 1970s EMS Synthy 100, but it's not a clone. And this is where a lot of people actually are mistaken. This is absolutely not a clone at all. There is no copying of any of the circuits or anything like that. There might be some like interface design similarities and things like that, but basically it's all Analogue Solutions' own stuff. What they've done is they've arranged a lot of the stuff that they've already made into this, and that's kind of the key point here. What's actually cool is if you do want to buy a really, really big synth, and we've always talked about Moog 1s and ARP 2600s and Jupiter, we've talked about other big synths out there. This could be the one for you. It's £25,000. Now, if you can afford to buy a £25,000 synth, you'll notice that you actually won't be able to fit this through your door. It won't fit through a standard doorway, so you may have to hire an Iroquois helicopter to lower it through your roof to get it into your studio. Now, that wouldn't actually be a problem if you can afford a $25,000 synth. That would just be, a bit of small change on the side to get the Iroquois in. It's entirely analog, by the way. It does have some digital circuitry in it for the sequencer, but it doesn't have MIDI, it doesn't have USB. They say that they've got other products that you can interface with MIDI and USB, and you can just put it in Eurorack, and there's plenty of things out there that do that. And you might like to know that it has no patch storage either. But it does have two enormous pin matrix. Two of them, not one, two. You can see there's battleships going on there, isn't there? There's the black team and the red team happening. Anyway, you've got and two spring reverbs. Now I do have a video on this, and I can't remember if it's 1, 2, or 3. I think it's this one. Yay, there it is. I can't remember how old this video is, but it doesn't matter. Let's have a little look. Now, we'll admit, if you do actually own a coffee table that looks like a tape, a cassette, the next question you're going to have on your mind is, what else do I need in my living room? Yes, you need a Colossus by Analogue Solutions. It's only a cool £25,000. Anyway, more seriously, what do you guys think of the Colossus? And are you going to put that in your living room?
Mine should be delivered in 6 months.
Beautiful. Doesn't that give you gas, hey? That video was beautiful, wasn't it?
It
That
is a
pure,
thing of
like,
beauty.
lush.
They have a back order for build.
There is one for sale in the UK
But I do see
that Andy knows about.
I don't know, but I mean, I know that they're taking orders. I did talk. Is he Tom Carpenter,
Yes.
the man from yeah? I chatted with him at Synthfest. Was it last year or the year before? Whenever it came out. Obviously, I mean, I can't afford 25,000 quid for Synth. I couldn't even we'd never be able to get it up the stairs. It is monstrous, but it is a thing of absolute beauty. That as Asio had said in the chat, the craftsmanship is stunning. It really is amazing, and it is pure gear lust. It really is gear lust. It's wonderful. It really is wonderful. And Ken, if you weren't joking by saying you were getting one in 6 months, well, yeah, I can absolutely, I can understand that.
Well,
What
you
a
never
thing
know. He
of
might not
beauty
have been
it is.
joking. He might not have been.
I don't know.
Yeah.
No, I wish. I wish.
That plays into your
I tell you right now. I would.
You
I
said
would
it's so
take this over
deadpan.
a
We were all
Schmidt.
convinced.
Yeah, I would take this over a Schmidt any day, which is roughly the same. And it is. So it's a chunk of change for sure, but if you really break it down, like if you try to put it into modular context, how much it would cost you to build a modular of similar build quality, of similar choice components and whatnot. I'm not saying going for bottom barrel, oscillators and that sort of thing. It's actually not that bad of a buy. Like, considering you're getting an entire custom case, you're getting, a nice pin matrix, so you're not going to have all your wires just everywhere. Like, it's really, honestly, if you look at it objectively and you really break down everything that's there, it's not crazy overpriced. It's actually really impressive. And what they do over at Analogue Solutions is, generally speaking, really great synthesizer. I like
absolutely.
a lot of their products.
Yeah.
And they're all built really solid. They don't tend to do things like fancy tooling and whatnot, as far as like putting things into cases that look all you know, like sort of thing. Like they're usually in like these kind of squarish cases and that sort of thing. The Vostok is amazing. If you've ever had a chance to play,
I
one
have.
of
Yeah,
those.
yeah, it's awesome.
It is, yeah.
Yeah,
Their telemark is fantastic. I mean, they make great
beautiful.
products, and they've been doing it for a long time. Not like there's a new crop up company or something that doesn't have history.
Now,
so
Darren-
for me,
Yep.
I would, if I had the cash to throw at it, I would do it.
Yeah.
And if I had the room in the
Sell the
studio,
car.
which,
Sell the car or
You
sell
know-
both cars.
well, I already did that. Like my wife has a car, I own a car. I have a modular. What do
Yeah,
car
yeah,
for? Am I
exactly.
going anywhere? Nobody wants to hang out. Have a modular.
Now, Darren was going to say something, and I didn't mean to cut him off, but I just while I got you there, Darren, it's imagine this. Instead of it being the Moog in the box, this is actually the Colossus on your back, and the set of flowers that you're going to have to lug up the stairs in your house to put the Colossus by the way. Is that something that you're going to do, mate?
Well, if it was the Colossus on the back, you'd be on your knees, wouldn't you? Literally.
You have to have
It'd
a
be
few
flat.
mates, I think.
Unfortunately, it doesn't sample.
Exactly. So it was going all well up to that point.
He's like, I would have bought it, but
It don't sample.
But it is paraphonic.
But it goes
That's
to
your Mellotron.
it goes to your track
75,000
titles,
AAA
a well-built
batteries.
synth.
Well, it is a good segue, and that's exactly why I put it in. Not only because I think, we are talking this week about what makes a synth built so well, and I think, let's be honest, that definitely looks like a well-built synth, doesn't it? Would you guys agree? Now that is not not
yes.
going to be my
Oh, yes.
my recommendation submission that I'm going to put as my personal one, but I think it's a good segue to go into that segment. But I think before we do though, let's have a little look at some dodgy prices, because you get the idea. I think we need to do this. Yeah. All right, here we go. So it has been extremely busy this week with dodgy prices, and this was the segue into that. An EMS VCC. We did talk about the EMS company. This is a VCS3, the Putney Mark I, a semi-modular synthesizer with the DK1 keyboard. Now, this is actually probably a bit more rarer than just getting a VCS. There's a few VCS3s out there, but this with the actual...
I'll have a Colossus.
The DK1, I'd probably get a Colossus as well. But look at the price. Way 48,000 Australian dollars.
What's funny, seen them for close to that. So
Yeah. This is not fake.
I wouldn't chalk this up as a scam.
This is not a scam.
Like-
This is just a pricing like spit your beer out.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say I saw it come up. I was like, yeah, but
They're not always scams on here. But look, Techno Empire is actually a well-known eBay. Got a very good rep for what they do. But no, this is real, and that's what they believe this is worth. So there you go. That does put the Colossus a little bit more into maybe affordability range. Don't you guys agree?
I mean taxes.
Well, absolutely,
alone
yeah.
Put it out of my affordability range.
All right,
I can't afford the taxes, let alone the synth.
Let's go to the next one. I think this might have been... Oh, yes, okay. This is the MPC 2000 XL sampler with RAM, zip, and output. Wow, $1,700 Australian. Now, Ken,
Looks pretty beat up too.
$1,700 Australian. The bottom part, look at the bottom part of where the two red buttons are down the bottom, just underneath that. Oh, that looks so manky. Now, what do you reckon that's actually worth? Ken?
It's a strip of masking tape.
It's probably had that on there, yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, but look at the cursor buttons. I mean, it looks like it's been in a serious smoking environment for a long time.
yeah.
Not guilty.
It definitely needs a retro bright. It's got the bromide plastic issues. Two different coloured knobs up the top. They were never different colours. If I remember rightly, they were the same colour.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. I have my 2000 XL sitting right next to me.
They are different colours?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I just thought one was moved more than the other. That's all.
No,
All right, fair
what's
enough.
your recording input?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Anyway,
But yeah, that's That's absurd.
So about $1,000 American, or about what is it, about 900 pounds, somewhere around there. Is that worth it?
Well, I'll say this, like, because I'm a MPC fanatic, but I will say the 2000 XL, which is my personal favorite MPC, they've been jumping up in price lately. Like they're seeing a resurgence in value. And I know you were doing the SH101 tracking.
Yep.
The 2000 XL is one you should track. I'm telling
We
you.
should do some tracking on that.
It's going up. And I think it will continue to do so because, like the SH and like the synths that tend to hold in value, one, it's very usable in a modern studio, or, or if you're trying to do retro, whatever, it's usable and it's very easy to learn. And two, a lot of hit records were made on it, so it holds a special place in music history because that MPC was used on a lot of throughout the early 2000s. I mean, it was 2000 XL, so from probably 2000 to like 2008, that was like one of the main MPCs. So,
until the 1000 came out.
That people were.
When did the 1000 come out?
Well, even after, because I'll tell you, a lot of people will people will gripe back and forth, but a lot of people would say that, one, the 2000 XL has a much more ergonomic design as far as working on it, and I tend to agree with the camp that says the 2000 XL smacks
because
a bit harder.
It's not like that on your desk. It's kind of like that, so it's easier.
Well,
to
that and the fact that shift button to do every little thing. The buttons themselves aren't really crappy buttons. They hold, even when they still work. And the 1000 had the really terrible pads for the long part of its life.
I did,
until they upgraded them further down. But the 1000 XL, point being is that I think it's going to gain in value over the next 5 years. You're going to see its price skyrocket.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the next one. We'll have to start doing the graphs anyway. This one, I think, this is not a synth, but this is part of a synth. So those who have owned Roland, Juno, or MKS 50s, this is a programmer for it, the PG300. Are you serious? Come on.
What?
10,000? This is a scam, guys. This one we found is a scam. Now, these probably go for around about $400 or $500 US normally. So that's probably about the going rate. So you can just see how much.
I like the postage.
Yeah. Dear. It is in the UK.
He may or he may not.
You might be able to pick it up, Darren, if you really want to get it. It is in the UK.
So,
I might
Can you
do that.
imagine
should
somebody
be between me,
in Australia
halfway
buying
between you
it?
and me, Darren.
Yeah.
Can you imagine somebody buying it
true, yeah.
in Australia and him saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, I told you I can't ship there.
yeah.
Sorry, take your money back.
All right,
Your filthy Australian money."
and let's do this one. The Tom Oberheim 2-voice TVS Pro Black Edition, guys. Black Edition.
It's a beautiful thing.
What is it, about
are.
7,000 pounds? 8,500, 9,000 US. It's
It
mint.
was about 2,000 new.
Right. Yeah. It is a nice looking synth though. Don't you agree? It's quite nice. I like all that stuff up on the left hand side. That actually looks quite cool. That kind of gets me excited. I like all the CV stuff up top too, which is pretty cool. So yeah, that one might be, I don't know, a fanboy might pay that, I guess. It's borderline. I don't know, guys. Anyway, I guess the point is that we're talking what is the best, or what makes a synth build well, or, do you know what I mean? Like, does that then translate into value that the synth will hold? And if you look at some of those, like the EMS VCS3, for example, that was a pretty decent holding of value. They definitely weren't that brand new when they originally made them in the 70s, that's for sure. So there you go. You could probably argue that.
Can I just hold something up, just for nostalgia's sake? We were
Yes.
talking about zip drives. Thought I'll there you go.
Go to
Where am I going?
your-
That
yeah,
way.
that's way,
That
yep.
way. Yeah, got it. Oh, look at that.
Oh, yeah, I've got one.
Oh, absolutely gorgeous.
I've got a box of them. That's how
My
old I
2000
am.
XL is still zip.
Yeah.
I never upgraded my zip drive to anything else because, you know, that's what all my beats were on. And then I was like, oh, you got to transfer
still
on
works.
this, that, and the third. Yeah, mine still works. However, if you look at the expected lifespan of those zip discs and the magnetic tape that's inside of them, they're pretty much end of life right now. Like, that stuff should start all failing right around now.
Yeah.
So
don't
it's a
say
little
that.
scary
All my
'cause
samples.
it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Those
There's
things
guys
should all be dying soon.
doing repair videos and stuff on zip drives because it's actually the kind of early IBM computer retro scenes kind of kicking off as well. So, and they were kind of around late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah, anyway, we should move on. We have got a really, really interesting segment now, which is we're going to actually talk about what makes a synth build well. Now, I'm going to be very quick with mine because the graphic that you guys have been watching all week since I've put the topic up, which should give away, which I feel is the synth that I own that's built probably the best. Well, it's probably a coin toss between that, and that is my Moog Sub 37. Actually built beautifully, that synth. It's very, very well built. It's probably a coin toss between that and maybe my DX7 II, which is also very well built. I don't know which would win. Probably in terms of longevity, the DX7 has won because that's a 1987 synth. I can't remember when they actually brought the DX7 II out. That goes all the way back to then. And I've only had the Sub 37 since about 2016, somewhere around there. So, you know, one's definitely a lot older. So that, to me, is what I've chosen. Now, the question will be, why have I chosen it? What do I feel is, to me, it's there's a lot of things. There's the knobs and the sliders and the way they feel, you know, do they have a bit of feedback on them, or are they just sliding all over the place and you could flick them too easy and they just feel like they're going to snap off? To me, the keybed's really important. Like, is it a decent keybed? Are you going to play? Is it a player's keybed, or if it's just something that's been an afterthought and they've chucked it on? And, you know, we won't talk about these sort of keybeds, will we? So that's kind of where I'm going with it. Now, in terms of inside, because a lot of people who own synthesizers are too scared to open theirs up. They would never even know what's inside them. I'm one of these people that likes to open things up and have a look inside, and you probably know that by watching my channel. But I can tell you, I've looked inside the Sub 37. That thing is superb electronic craftsmanship in there. There is not a bad solder joint there. It's very, very well made synth. And a lot of the parts in there are made in what's the town, Ken, that they make the Moogs in? Nashville?
Asheville
with an A, yeah. So they're made in the US, which is a good thing. Some parts in there are actually obviously made in China, and they put that in, but, you know, that's life. So anyway, what makes a bad synth design is probably the next question. And I've got one here, and this might get a few people upset. Sorry, Mike. And there's a reason for it.
It's about to be even worse.
Can you guys, you obviously know what brand it is? I've just given that away. Can you guys see?
Yep.
Can you see the end cheek on that? Look how fairy
It's so
it is.
funny that you mentioned the Sub 37, but then hold that up for the build quality thing for that reason. Because I got to do this to you. Hold on.
Yeah. Look at that. Now that I just want to do. That is sticky as hell. That's all sticky, right? Now that side is sticky, and that side is just starting to go sticky now.
All right,
Now the other thing that really annoys me about this is I've had these keys snap off, literally just from playing them. They will just go pop and they go up. So the keybed on this is shocking. And the other thing is the stickiness actually now is starting to happen on the knobs. So they've got some sort of fake rubberized paint that they put on these knobs and on the sides, and it's just failing. And like
somebody else did that too.
Can you hear?
Yeah,
how it's
somebody
sticking?
else did that too.
Now, other than
Maybe
that,
you should take it apart and
if
do a
I-
retrofit.
But seriously,
and
if
redo it.
Arturia put a couple of bits of wood on the side, right? They didn't skimp on the knobs. This is actually built really well. This is, apart from that, this is actually built. The keybed sucks, the stickiness sucks, but apart from that, this is actually a really good synth. So this is where sometimes people make decisions in whatever reason they've got them, in saving a buck, whatever it is, and it ends up being a really bad decision. All right, Ken, you have your go.
All right. Okay, so here's how we're going to fight, because you just spoke about the sub 37,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And then reasons that you ridicule that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the sub 37 price point is what, $1,300, something like that?
Mm-hmm.
And that thing was like what, 500 when it came out, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So let's do something that Moog did that's a little bit more in line with the price line.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So here's this thing called a sub fatty, right?
Yeah.
And guess what? Now, my camera is garbage.
You got
but
sticky
might be able to
sides.
see it. It's the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing. And it's to the point where I don't even want to touch this. This is one of my
it's
favorite
gross.
synthesizers.
It's gross, isn't it?
I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
this synthesizer. I think it's fantastic. It's, to me, it's one of the best bass synthesizers out there. It's just super easy. I love it. However, this fake rubber crap is like the bane of my existence, and it's the same thing that's on the mini brute. Let me set that down. So it's the exact same thing on the Moog, and it's like stands now. I'll say a couple of things about the keybed real quick. So that keybed on the mini brute, I agree, was trash. However, that was because the plant that made them, they had a bad batch of keybeds. Like, there was bad dick, and it happened to multiple manufacturers. It wasn't just Arturia, because that keybed manufacturer made for a bunch of different gear, and all those keys broke. So just be aware of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that sticky side stuff is fake rubber.
Yeah.
And so I had to point that out.
No,
'cause,
no,
like,
that's
it
good.
just, as soon as you said that, I was like, oh my god, I got a Moog that drives me nuts because of that.
Yeah, yeah. But look, I'll come back to you, Ken, because I want to know what your choices are, and you'll go in like 1 sec. But the point I'm trying to make is, I'm not saying Moog make the best build synths. I'm saying the sub 37 is the best build synth that I own. I've got experience with it.
I'm just saying that nobody should use that fake rubber ever again.
Nobody should use it. Yeah, absolutely. All right, now, so Ken, might as well go back to you, Ken. So, do you want to finish your sip? Do you want to tell us what the best build way is?
I'm a little bit sad to say this because it feels cheap. Like, it feels cheating to do this. I really did think about this though, and I'm gonna be honest. And it's the Hydrasynth. Like, completely just
Great.
trying to be as unbiased as possible.
Yep.
I have to say the Hydrasynth. And so one of the reasons is going back to what we exactly just talked about. The Hydrasynth, the knobs, the rubber that's on those knobs is real rubber. And it was specifically because of that. So they didn't want that to happen. The stickiness, it's actually real rubber on the knobs. The other thing is that all the casing is completely metal. The sides are, and not just metal, but thick metal at that. The sides are thick metal. The keybed is fantastic and doesn't have any wiggle in it. Like, I have certain keys that we can go back to the Arturia one, like the Xils-labs and whatnot. If you wiggle the keys side to side, I really don't like how they feel. The pots in the Hydrasynth are metal pots inside of theirs. Everything on it is pretty much metal. The only switches and knobs that are not metal, like if you pull the caps off, is in the I think it's the arpeggiator ratchet knobs or something like that. It's the mode knob because it's a switch and they had to use plastic for that.
Yeah.
But everything is metal. Like the CV jacks are all actually screwed to the top so that, nothing can get moved or broken. Like, the whole thing is just built like a tank. So that's
Yeah.
my best built one.
Now, before you go to your worst, I just want to make a couple of points because you weren't the only one that suggested to me the Hydra synth. Okay, Berg, he jumped into Discord during the week and said, make sure you mention that I said and he's got the desktop version of the Hydra synth. Now, he said this. He said the Hydra synth for him, the weight of it, it's just incredible. He said it's like it's been built. This is exactly what he said. Without a doubt, the ASM Hydra synth, seriously, it's built with aircraft buttons and stuff. And all metal enclosure. I've had synths with keys at way less than my desktop version. So that's Berg's comment. And Ken, you've got the keyboard version, right? So imagine if the desktop version weighs a ton. I guess both. the keyboard version weighs even more. All right. So go to your worst. Do us your worst.
So I had two that were in my thoughts. So am I supposed to pick the worst that's in my studio?
I think so, because that
or the
way
worst
you've
that
got
I had.
Well, you've had experience, so it doesn't really matter if you don't have it anymore. So whatever you feel.
Okay, and we're just talking build quality.
Build quality, not sound quality.
Then I have to definitely go to the Roland JDXA is built like, man, it is the worst built synth I've ever laid hands on. I think
plastic.
It's especially for the price point and everything. There are so many issues with it as far as how it was built. The thinness of the plastic. The entire thing is plastic. It's the exact opposite of the Hydra synth.
Yeah,
everything on it is plastic,
yeah.
And not just plastic, but like thin, brittle type plastic. The pitch and mod wheel is like hollowed out plastic. The every knob on it like every little encoder is like this cheap like plastic encoder. It again, getting back to opening things up because we're nerds and that's what we do. The way the ribbons were done inside of it, so there's a digital board and an analog board. They ran the analog ribbon right across the top of the processor, completely unshielded, so it picks up all sorts of digital noise. It is.
It's
I mean, it's
too.
hollow. Like it's like the whole thing is hollow. The original one, they had that. It was a clear plastic top, or not clear, but a shiny plastic top that would just be a fingerprint magnet. So they ended up releasing these overlays that you had installed that were like matte, which is how it should have been to begin with, really. Which I'm on, thankfully. But I mean, just the screen is fairly garbage. Like it's a really poorly built synth. It's really fun. Does a lot of amazing things. Excuse me. It's super interesting, but man, is it built bad.
Oh, we're saying it's not creaky. But yeah, while we're talking about this doesn't mean the synth sounds like it's bad. This is just the build quality. So we're talking about how does this thing stand up in a gig, in its life, being transported.
I can literally bend the front of it like this. Just by
you can see that. Yeah.
Yeah. It'll flex. So yeah, I kind of it's just, man, it's not built well.
Yes, JDXI also suffers from the same problem. Now, guys in the chat, if we're going to go to you and Andy and Darren in a sec, but just quickly we'll get the chat people up. If you want to nominate yours, don't forget to flag my name at Ramsey in the chat room. That way, I will know that you're wanting me to mention you. If you have mentioned something already, just type it again. And tell me what your nomination is, best and worst, preferably one that you've owned, because obviously you've got experience with that. Okay, now, Darren, let's go with you next. Go with your best and your worst.
Best I'd probably say is the Juno 6 and the Waldorf Pulse 2 and both L. Right. They're probably the best built I've got in the studio. The worst, I don't know, it's hard to say. I'd probably say the AM1X.
Right.
I mean, it's not bad. It's not badly built or anything, but it's probably the worst built of all the kit I've got.
What makes it bad? What's worse about it?
It's just very... it's just very plasticky compared to everything else. The key bed's fine, I suppose. But yeah, it's all the buttons. They're all right, but if you put it against the Juno, which is 1982, and it's still solid, you can still hear that.
Yeah.
Still clicks like a proper Switch, whereas the AM1X it's a bit temperamental. And the Waldorf, well, they're built like tanks anyway. So
Well, they're just.
I don't know what some of the newer stuff is.
They're quite a massive piece of folded metal, and they're quite thick too. So that's probably why you like the Waldorf's built.
You can literally throw them out the window, and I think they'll be still all right.
Well, I wouldn't suggest you do that. Lots of suggestions coming in anyway. Thanks, Darren. I'm going to go to Andy now. Andy, I know you've got some very passionate opinions here, so we'll go with you.
Right. Okay. The best. I think the best built synth that I ever owned, and I no longer own it. I might have mentioned it before on here. I don't know if you get up a picture of it, but it's a synth called the Tysco 60F. It was built like a tank. It was absolutely amazingly solid, fantastic synthesizer. And if you can get hold of one of those for cheap, snatch it up because it's brilliant. I wish I'd never let mine go. I think the best built bit of kit that I've got in the studio here is the Electribe, the Korg Electribe. It's very heavy. It's very sturdy. I think it's beautifully built. It's just a solid and confidence-inspiring piece of kit. I really do think it's the build of that is excellent. One or two people have mentioned sort of plasticky. That's it. That's the 60F. It weighs a ton, and it's a thing of beauty. I really wish I still had it. It was built under license from ARP by essentially Tysco. I think became Kawai. But it's if anybody has got one of those, or you see, hang on to it because it's a fantastic synthesizer. That was my first experience of an analog mono synth, and that brings me very nicely onto my second experience of an analog mono synth, which I think you know what's coming now. Don't you? You know what's coming. And don't say methodiction again, but there you go. See, Pro One. It's there. It is. It is actually pretty heavy, but the thing about this, apart from the shitty keyboard, I mean, the keyboard on it was dreadful from the word go. I mean, just listen to the keyboard, and that's not because it's old. I mean, can you hear that? You think your keyboard on your computer clicks?
It's hitting the top of that. Where the top
but
of the
it always
chassis.
did.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the next bit. Squidgy. It's just awful. It really is. And I'd got rid of the Tysco 60F and then got I couldn't believe how crappy this thing is. Yeah, we all know how wonderful it sounds. So that's it. The other. Put that down without doing myself a mischief. The other thing, which actually was disappointingly built, is this thing to my right, the Novation Supernova. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've just seen Ken do it. I mean, the whole of the top panel of this flexes inwards, and it's really it doesn't inspire confidence. The knobs they just come off in your hand. I mean, they're just pretty cruddy, really. And yet again, it's a synth. That sounds fantastic. The keyboard on it, however, is beautiful. The keyboard is gorgeous to play, but the overall build quality of it is not great. I hope Novation's newer stuff is better. It probably is. I haven't had a chance to play on any of the newer things. So.
All right, we're going to go to...
That's my bit.
Thanks, Eddie. We're going to go to... so Berg mentioned when he was talking to me in chat his most worst synth. He mentioned the Hydra synth before, which I already mentioned. So the worst one he mentioned was he owned one of these, a Wasp. And this is the photo that he... Now, there's different versions of the Wasp. So this is the one that he's talking about that he owned. And I'll just tell you what he said. Some of it wasn't very nice, but anyway... So the Wasp, plastic case, it breaks. It's brittle. It's horrible. The keys have no comparison. It's really hard to play. No playability. And if I ever laid my hands, it was actually fully functional. It would be, it would be luck if it would actually. Okay, so these things like must have had some reliability issues, but he does go on and say that this is not to do with the sound. So he said that the actually sounds really, really awesome, and it has a really gnarly filter. So yeah, so he's not talking about the way it sounds. He's talking about the way it's built.
That's like the proto Volca.
Yeah, it kind of, isn't it, with the touch, keyboard. But yeah, anyway. So now the guys in chat have been busy. When we've got a few in there, so let's get.
I'm going to show an example for something that they were talking about in the chat.
Yeah, go for that, and tell me when you hear it. Okay, so where are we?
Here somewhere. Oh, it's underneath my desk.
So Music is saying the worst is the DX100. And the best is the Roland Phantom X8. As your head is saying, the Nord lead, they make really nice cases. He doesn't know what's worse, but yeah, I need to get myself a Nord. I really, really think I need to get myself one. Sergio has said he has a red Mini Brute with white pots and haven't got the sticky yet. Yeah, the red ones came out a little bit later, so I believe. Like Ken was saying before, that they corrected the keybed issues. Mine is one of the first batches that ever came out, and I've already had it sent back to be repaired once. So bearing in mind, I'm not saying about the sound. That's actually one of my most favourite sounds, that Mini Brute synth. I love the sound of it. So there you go.
It's funny because I still have my original Mini Brute. And I never had that key problem, so I think I got lucky and had one of the ones that didn't have that batch. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people had that problem, and it was because that the plastic that factory was churning out, I guess, was I don't know. The rumor I had heard was that there was like oil or something in the like some oil or something that had gotten into the plastic mixture, which made it become brittle.
Well, I can tell you exactly what it was. It was the before you show that. So what it was is where the key. Well, I can probably kind of show you with this.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the lift stop.
Yeah, the lift stop. So where the key actually goes into the back part here underneath. The actual, if you looked at it on a side profile, if you're looking at the keys like on a side profile like that, they were very, very, very thin, and literally, a mouse could step on it and it would snap. That's how thin the plastic was. So it was just really just a bad design. All right, Ken, go with your.
I just wanted to say, so we were having a lot of people talking about the Rhythm MK2 in the chat, and they were talking about voting it as bad build, which for them, I wouldn't say it's bad build, it's bad design. And when I say design, I mean, so and we were just talking about your keyboard, how you like those clacky keys.
Oh yeah, the mechanical keys. Yeah.
But the problem with this thing is, being a musical device, if you do you hear that reverb?
Yeah.
Every single button in here has a spring under it, and it just the metal casing and everything reverberates. So if you have it in the studio, it really sounds like a physical, like an acoustic spring reverb.
That's my Octatrack, Ken.
And that just drives me insane. Like you have to be tracking so loud to not hear that.
I reckon it could be a future fan thing, like mic up the electrons, and have a spare channel in your mixer.
I did that for a sample pack. I used it in a sample pack that I think I put out for MPC. But yeah, I actually did do that. I used it as part of a snare sample.
Right.
I layered it with a couple of things.
So let's go a little bit deeper with this build thing. Okay, so one of the things that kind of gets a lot of press at the moment with build quality is Behringer, and we always bash them because they've got a history of bad mixing builds, and I mean, yeah, they did. Let's not deny it, they did. However, do they still build bad? Now, it's actually a really, really good question, because I have in front of me here, I pulled it out of my Eurorack. This is the dual VCO module from Behringer, and we are going to check out how well this thing is built, because a lot of people whinge, right? They like to whinge about how well things are built. And not only that, we are going to check it out at kind of, well, let's check it out at kind of some sort of microscopic level. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you something first. This is the back of the Behringer module, and you guys are seeing this at very, very close microscopic. So there's an op amp, I think that is there, and you can see all the resistors there, and you can see R92 and R93, and there's a capacitor C27, and you can see with this, you can see the way it's been soldered. So what I'll do is I'll go to show you guys. I'm going to just show you. I'm going to put a pen in, right, and there's the end of my pen. We're going to go back to here. I'm going to show you how big the end of my pen is when you see this. So that's how much we're zooming in. Can you see the end of my pen there? Look at me shaking about like a crazy man, right? So we're actually looking at the quality of how well these things are put together at a mechanical point of view, and you can see how well the soldering's done. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can really go crazy with this sort of stuff. And you can see here, see that you can see some issues with the solder mask here. You can see a bit of bubbling next to that screw there. See the bubbling there? So that's the solder mask. So you can really look at, if you really want to go there, you can really look at this stuff to the nth degree. And that is just I've got this new toy. I just thought I'd show it off. That's it there. It's like it's made in China. It's basically a camera, like a webcam really, 38 megapixel camera, and underneath it's got a 150 zoom lens thing on it, and it's got a ring. You can see there's like an LED light there, and that's how you get this image here. It's got a HDMI output on the back, and it's also got a USB. You can actually use it as a webcam if you wanted to. But anyway, that just gives you guys an idea of what something looks like. And we can turn it around and we can actually have a look at the front of this thing. And we can go right into this. Let's have a look at the mechanical side of this. This is a 3.5 millimeter jack. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, and zoom in on this. Look at that. And we can actually go right inside the jack. How cool is that? Right down to the bottom of the jack.
So how much did this cost you?
They're only about $100. $100 US.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad. Great quality with that.
From Shenzhen markets
I'm
in
surprised
China.
your streaming image of it was great, you know?
It's beautiful. It's 1080p, so it's high res, full HD. And I mean, look, that is, can you believe that is a 3.5 millimeter jack? Look how crisp and clear that is, you know. And so you can check out, like, we can go down a bit. I think there's a switch coming up. You can even check out the hairs on it.
I have a kind of
the screen
I have
printing.
like an iPhone cable thing that does something similar, but this is pretty nice to have, you know.
Now I've got another error message on YouTube. Is that, are we still? Yeah, we're still streaming. Let us know in the chat if we're not. What is happening with the internet today? We can't rely on you. Look, anyway, I guess the point is, when you get things like anything, you're going to be checking out how does the switch feel? How does the potentiometer feel? Does it have feedback? When we say feedback, it's got to resist you moving it. It can't just feel like it's sloppy. Do you know what I mean? So it's got to have feedback.
With the tactile feedback.
You've got to have the tactile feedback, and that's all in the mechanics of it. So you can see there's the mechanical metal part of it. And when you're actually twisting it, it's got to have that.
I will say, in regards to things like Eurorack modules and the like of something like that, where it's mostly, you know, SMT and built by machines like that, and you know, certainly they have fantastic machines that they're using. The other side of the build quality is the design of the build that you're using. So I've got, oh man, do I have it? Oh yeah. Let me find this thing. Where the hell is it? I got something that, where did I throw it
Well, Ken's that music so's made a nice little joke there. Yes, I could. We could even go into the Volca jokes with that one, mate.
So let
Alright,
me
go back to
let
Ken.
me show you something. This is a somewhat infamous story. There was a guy who burst onto the scene with his videos. He's an entrepreneur, and he was saying how he was going to revolutionize Eurorack and take over Eurorack and just blow up the business, blah blah blah, because he had access to mass production facility and this, that, and the third. He's the greatest thing since sliced bread, blah blah blah. Here's where you get into some really bad build quality stuff, though. Here's what happens when people just want to make money, but they don't care about it. So this is a drum module, okay, and of course I only review things that I like. I don't do like negative reviews because it's generally not a good thing. This is something a little special though, because of the way he treated the community and kind of flipped out and had a public meltdown about it. This is designed so poorly. The jacks, if you look at these jacks, like it has to have a whole separate board just to fit the jacks in here. Can you see that?
Yeah.
And then it's all open header to connect to it.
So the other board.
Faceplate is a PCB that's bent. Like it's so janky. Like that curve is there. Yeah, just everything
and you can
about
actually
this
see,
is...
if you hold it up sideways, you can actually see the little gold pots. They're not actually... Let's see how they're all on different angles.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah. It's horrible. So, in addition to all this, the design is essentially... Stolen might not be the right word, but... So, it's a copied design out of Electro notes, right?
Yeah.
And it's a design that doesn't work 100% properly, right? So if you send this a trigger or a gate to trigger the drums, right, when the gate releases, it will trigger again. Okay, this is something that's well known in the community and people have solved, and but because he didn't care about the product and was trying to churn something out, he just copied the circuit, and it includes that flaw. Making it essentially worthless.
So obviously he needs to learn about active high and active low, because that's his problem.
So, yeah, well, there was a whole lot that he needed to learn about.
Apart from the mechanical side.
So,
you know what you should do?
point
There's a guy,
is-
Ken. There's a guy in Australia. His name's Dave Jones, right? And he runs this channel called EEV Blog. It's all to do with electronics, right? It's nothing to do with synth.
Yeah, I love his stuff.
You should send that module to him. Seriously. Get him to do a teardown on it. He would have a field day.
He'd go into convulsions over it, man. It's so bad.
Yeah.
But I keep it around just because it's so bad that I had to put it on its own power supply to power it up, because I was like, yeah, we don't know what's gonna happen here. So, it is pretty bad. But point being is that in addition to the physicality of build, design is part of build quality as well. And if something is designed poorly, no amount of build quality is going to overcome that. Like if you've got, like I said, ribbons going right across a CPU, unshielded, you can have that thing could have been built out of metal, but it would still have those problems.
Yeah. I reckon it's a good time now for us to snap off the main show, and we'll keep going because we've got much more to talk about on this. But bad luck if you're watching this on a replay. I think we're going to say
before you go.
Yeah,
before
you
go,
this is going to be on the main show, so remember.
Yeah, this can be on the main show, but the kit that I bought, if you've all been watching very carefully.
Oh, I don't know if I want to tell them that though.
Inches.
I don't know if I want to tell them.
Well, it's all right because I don't see it. They won't see it until after the show, but for those who are just before they go to the after show, the vinyl gives a huge clue because the instrument was used on the vinyl of all the vinyl that you see. So that's what I've got.
Okay.
You'll see it in the after show.
Good. What it will do is it'll make people want to stay on and watch, because we're not going anywhere for those who are watching live. We're going to stay here. We're just doing a little, ending cut scene, and we'll be back after that. But for you guys who are watching this on a replay, see you later. Thanks very much for watching, and we will hit the end titles
Bye-bye.
now. Bye-bye. Virtual goodbye. Don't go
And
anywhere.
this is what I've got.
Whoa. Bad luck.